I'll be painting up this Serpentfolk to look like a creamsicle corn snake in this video sponsored by Hero Forge. I built this miniature on heroforge.com and did quite a bit of customization for it. This is one of their new races, the Serpentfolk. It was a lot of fun. I was able to move the position of the sword around and how she's holding this heart in her hand. It was a lot of fun. And the color scheme that I'm going to go off of is based off of my own pet snake, Stilgar. He is a creamsicle corn snake, and so we're going to be seeing a lot of oranges and white once this is all painted up. But the first thing that I'm going to do is get a layer of Emperor's Children in here, because when I look at my snake, I see a lot of pink between the scales, and I'm trying to replicate that. What I'll be doing is taking a fine detail brush and getting in all of the areas that have scales with this pink Emperor's Children. I'm not going to be too careful about how neat I am, because I'm going to come in with a dry paper towel and take the paint off of the raised areas. So once again, I'm going to do everything on the head, the arms, and the belly, and come back and see what that looks like. Here you can see the head pretty much covered in the Emperor's Children, and I'm taking this dry paper towel to get it off of the raised areas so that it's staying in all of the cracks and recesses. That layer of pink has all dried, and it looks a little sloppy, but that's okay. We're going to come in later. I'll be using Apothecary White for the candles, Basilicum Gray for all of the flagstones, and eventually Blood Angel Red on the heart. I'm going to take care of all of this before I get into adding things onto the body of the Serpentfolk. And now you can see what all of that looks like, nice and dried. I really love how these contrasts look. The flagstones are the Basilicum Gray, once again, and I used Apothecary White for the wax of the candles, as well as on the sword to give a nice non-metallic metal look. I've got Blood Angel Red for the heart. It's a nice deep color. And I'll be going in and again using a contrast of Iyanden Yellow to get this nice yellowy orange mottled look that I can see whenever I look at my own snake. So I'm going ahead and starting back here on the tail. Things are going on in a nice, pretty thick coat. And I'm not worried about the fact that it's going on in some areas thicker than others, because that's going to give me the differentiation between the dark oranges and the light yellows that you see in the actual snake's scales. Going ahead and laying all of this in, and we'll do one nice thick coat. Alright, so I'm going to do all of that work, being careful not to worry too much about where things are going, but I don't want to get too sloppy and have it spill out onto any of those other areas that I painted, like the flagstones or the candles. And here is that dried layer of Iyanden Yellow. I love the mottled look and how it's not clean and even, because Stilgar's scales aren't all uniform one color. What I'll be doing now is going in and getting some paint on all of these different little pieces, the sash, the fur on the back, all of her jewelry. So I'm coming in with Snakebite leather here. That's another one of my contrast colors. I use a lot of contrast in this one. I really like that paint. It gives a really nice look, and I'm being pretty careful and deliberate now as I layer things in. I don't want to mess up what I've got as far as the body of the piece is concerned. And while this dries, I will go ahead and pick up some of the other areas of her equipment. So there we have the sash finished, the leather sash, and I'll be working on the jewelry. What I've decided to go with is a brass scorpion. Going in and starting with the belt. Now the metallic can go on a little bit thick, and so what I like to do is go ahead and get it onto the piece and then spread the paint out a little bit more as I go, not going back and recharging my brush quite as often. I'm also getting the bangle on her arm, as you can see, and she's wearing some rings. So she's got all of this brass jewelry on. Now let's go ahead and pick up the fur that she's wearing. And I actually am using a skeletal horde for this one, and I'll be doing 2 different layers of this contrast paint, just so that it makes a really nice color. You can see how well that it goes into all of the nooks and crannies as we go, but just 1 layer is a little too light for me. So we'll get this on over all of the fur, let it dry, and come back and do a 2nd layer. Now that all of the equipment is done, I have a very watered down Morrow White from P3, treating it almost like an ink. I'm going to get this on all of the scales of her belly, doing 1 layer and letting that dry. I will end up coming back and doing a 2nd layer. Here we can see all of that 1 layer dried, and I've started to go through following the natural places where there are differences in the color and making some of those circular patterns. I also went ahead and got in to the mouth and the eyes with the white, but we will come in with some more colors to make those really stand out. The mouth is done with Magos purple, just a fun color in there, and just plain old Abbadon black to make the slit pupils for the eye. The belly scales have 2 different layers of that Morrow White, and now in order to give them just a little bit more depth and interest, I'll be using Apothecary White. And it's not quite as thick as I normally have it, being very careful to just stay on the belly scales. Once this is dried, it'll give us a really nice, more textured look. This video is brought to you by our friends at Hero Forge. At HeroForge.com, you can make the perfect miniature for all of your games, just like I did with the new Serpentfolk. Lots of races, gear, equipment, even mounts and poses, and an advanced editor tool that I used to make sure that everything was just perfect with my new mini. So go and check out HeroForge.com and make your mini today. And now that everything is dried and said and done, I have an amazing Serpentfolk priestess. I can't wait to find a reason to use this on some of my players. And I think I did a pretty nice job basing it off of the look and feel of my own pet snake, Stilgar. Here you can see the both of them. I had so much fun building this miniature at Hero Forge, and I hope that you really enjoyed watching me paint it up and some of the tips and techniques that I use in painting. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and even share it. You can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter, even on Facebook. It's where we make our announcements of bonus videos, and you can figure out what it is that we've been up to. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you've built one of the Serpentfolk, let me know what you ended up with in the comments below. But until next time, I'm Ryan, and this is Roll for Initiative. Bye.